Hey, what's up guys? My name's Jacob and welcome back to Eating with Evans. This week we're going to make an easy one skillet chicken pot pie. We're going to speed up this recipe by using a rotisserie chicken that I bought from the store and some pre-made puff pastry. If you guys haven't already, follow me on Instagram here at Eating with Evans. This is where I post every single meal that I make, including extras that you wouldn't necessarily see here on the YouTube channel. Now without further ado, let's start making some chicken pot pie. What you're going to need for this recipe is 1 2 to 3 pound rotisserie chicken. What I've done is I took all the skin off of the rotisserie chicken after I chilled it in the fridge. That way I wasn't burning my hands when I was handling it. And what I got was something that looked kind of like this. So what we've got here is a rotisserie chicken that I got from a grocery store down the road. And what we're going to do is pull all the meat off of this. I let this cool in the fridge just so when I'm working on it I don't burn my fingers at all. What you really want to do is pull this apart so that it's in bite-sized pieces. Next, you're going to need 1 pound of carrots. You're going to need 2 medium onions. You're going to need some garlic, around 5 cloves. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of fresh thyme. What that's going to be is about 2 or 3 sprigs after you pull all the leaves off. We're going to need 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. What I'm using here is Kate's Creamery 100% pure butter. This is from Arundel, Maine. It's actually, the creamery is about 10 or 15 minutes from my house in where I grew up in Maine. Pretty awesome, and it's a delicious product. You're also going to need 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, and we're going to combine this with the flour to make a roux to thicken our sauce later on. You're going to need 2.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. You're going to need 1.5 teaspoons of ground pepper. We're going to need about half a pound or half a bag of this frozen corn. And we're going to need about the same amount, half a pound, half a bag of these frozen peas. You're also going to need about a cup of dry white wine, and you're going to need some frozen puff pastry. You're also going to need 2 cups of heavy cream, and we're going to divide that up into a couple portions. So that's everything you need to make this recipe. Let's get going. So we're going to start chopping these vegetables. What we're going to do is we're going to cut the ends off of the carrots and then take the peel off. We're going to cut the celery into bite-sized pieces. We're going to end up cutting all the carrots into bite-sized pieces, and we're going to dice the 2 medium onions. But I like to cut the tips off, and I'm going to use a Y peeler. I'm going to rest the carrot on my cutting board and just rotate. I like to start the celery by cutting off the root end. I like to pull apart each individual spear. So what I'm going to do is cut these in bite-sized pieces, and as I get to the larger parts of the celery at the end, I'm going to make my pieces a little thinner. This flat edge is going to help it be a lot more stable, where this is a lot harder of a vegetable. It's going to be a little harder to cut. His mercy's true. start by melting 3 tablespoons of butter in our pan. Butter gives a nice flavor, although it's got a relatively low smoke point compared to, say, avocado oil or grapeseed oil. What we're gonna do is, once this butter melts, we're gonna add in our diced onion so that it can start to sweat. And then once that sweats for a couple minutes, we're gonna add in garlic. Now that we've given our garlic a chance to cook a little bit and our onions have started to sweat out, we're going to add our vegetables. Now that I added these vegetables to the pan, I turned the heat up a little bit because these cold vegetables are going to take some of the heat out of the pan. So what we're going to do is just start softening them up till they're about halfway cooked or so, and then we're going to throw it in the oven. What I'm going to do now is add in my freshly picked thyme. I'm also going to add in some dried thyme to bolster that flavor a little bit. These vegetables are starting to soften up, so now I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. I'm going to use quick dissolving all-purpose flour. And what I'm going to do now is stir this up. Now the butter that's in the pan is going to be absorbed by this flour a little bit, and essentially what we're doing is making a roux. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to try and cook the raw flavor out of this flour. Now that we've given the pan a chance to cook the flavor of the raw flour out, we're going to add in our dry white wine to deglaze. You want to scrape the bottom of the pan to make sure you get all that stuff that is stuck on the bottom. We're going to let this simmer to cook out that raw alcohol flavor. Now that it's reduced, you can see it's becoming a thickened sauce. The white wine is mixing with the flour and the butter. And you're starting to develop a little bit of a sauce that's filling in when I swipe away with my spatula. That's exactly what we're looking for. So now what we're going to do is add 2 cups of heavy cream. This container is exactly 2 cups, but what we're going to do is we're going to reserve about a tablespoon's worth so we can brush it on the puff pastry later. This is cold, so it definitely reduced what the temperature in that pan. You're going to want to stir this. We're going to let this simmer a little bit. And now is our opportunity to add our chicken in. This is our pulled rotisserie chicken. As you can tell, this is already starting to thicken a lot. I'm going to take this opportunity to add a good pinch of kosher salt. We haven't seasoned anything yet. I'm going to add in a good amount of black pepper. As you can tell, this sauce is thickened up dramatically compared to what that heavy cream was that we poured in. Now what we're going to do is add about half a bag of frozen corn, which is about half a pound. And we're going to add the same amount of frozen peas, half a bag, about half a pound. We're just going to stir these in. We're going to turn off the heat. We're going to let this sit. As we let this sit, those peas and the corn is going to thaw. Everything's going to be perfectly cooked. So what we're going to do now is we're going to roll out our puff pastry sheets. We're looking for about a 13-inch square of puff pastry because we've got a 12-inch cast iron skillet and I want to drape the puff pastry all the way around. I want enough excess so that I can roll the dough up around the edge of the pan and crimp with a fork. So what I want to do first is I want to flour my surface. I'm just going to use this same flour that I already have because it's got an easy shaker. So here's our first sheet. So this is about 9.5 inches square. So what we're going to do is we're going to flour this side so that it doesn't stick to our rolling pin. I'm going to also flour my rolling pin a little bit. Now that we've got it about 13 inches square, it's ready to be transferred onto our 12-inch skillet. What I'm going to do to transfer this is I'm going to roll it on top of my rolling pin gently. You don't want to crush the puff pastry. Once this goes in the oven, this is all going to rise up because you've got individual layers of butter and dough, and the puff pastry is going to rise. So this is going to come out much larger. So what we're going to do is take a fork and we're going to go around and crimp to give it the look like it's a pie. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the heavy cream that we saved from the 2-cup container. We saved a couple tablespoons. We're going to take our basting brush. We're going to baste this all over the top. Now because there's proteins and fat in the heavy cream, that's going to cause browning on this puff pastry and it's going to come out crispy and golden brown. The very last thing we're going to want to do is with a paring knife, I'm going to make some little designs. So I'm going to cut a slit here, a slit here. And now this is ready to go into a preheated 400-degree oven for around 25 minutes until the top gets nice and golden brown. Hey everybody, so this is the final dish. This is a 1 skillet chicken pot pie made with puff pastry and rotisserie chicken to help speed up the process. We also used frozen peas and frozen corn. After we brushed that heavy cream on top, you can see how it got nice and golden brown on the top. I did end up turning the broiler on a little bit because the edges were starting to get a little more toasty than the inside, so I wanted to make sure this could catch up. This is a meal that you can make within an hour, something that you can do fairly easy with less than 10 ingredients. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button down below. And if you want to see more content from me on a weekly basis, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you ever take the opportunity to try out some of my recipes, I would love it if you tag me in it so I can comment and look at what you make. Until next time, see you later.